Hello again. The title of this video is in praise of MiniArt commercial vehicles, and it might seem like a strange title, but I thought I'd do a little bit of an appraisal of some of the kits that I've bought over the last few years from MiniArt. I'm not a massive military modeler, although obviously I'm building that Corvette at the moment, and I've built various other bits in the past. But the MiniArt seems to be split into two halves. They do an awful lot of military stuff, tanks, aircraft, that kind of thing, figures. But they've also got this other strand, which is vintage commercial vehicles. Now, some of the vehicles cross over into the military side. I noticed they've just released or they're about to release a Opel Blitz truck, which obviously it's the one of the main trucks from the Germans during World War II. But it was also used for a lot of other vehicles, things like fire engines and delivery wagons and things like that. So I can imagine that they're going to make the most of the molds on those, maybe sort of petrol tankers and things. So the one you can see on the bench here is from a range of these small three-wheeler delivery vans, probably dating from the 1930s right through to the 1950s, maybe even 1960s. Some of them maybe survived the war and they were still in use in Europe. They're basically a three-wheeler. It's more of a kind of like a motorcycle front end. You get an engine under the bonnet, and then a variety of rear configurations, like a box van. There's an open back sort of pickup. There's various other types of refrigerated van. And they've been more or less churning these things out over the past few years, and I think they're fantastic. So I thought I'd give a little bit of an overview and maybe sing their praises a bit, because there seems to be a lot of talk on the modeling press and online about MiniArt kits being too difficult and too many tiny parts and things like that. I personally think that some of the best kits on the market today. I think the only thing approaching them in terms of detail is the other company from Ukraine, ICM, and some of their stuff is just fantastic. So I'll take you through one of these kits' typical contents, and then I'll show you a couple of builds that I've done already, and various other things. So I did mention that MiniArt originates in Ukraine because of the situation there. It's quite unfortunate, really, because originally they were based in Crimea, and when Russia invaded Crimea, they were forced to move their entire factory closer to Kyiv. And then obviously with the outbreak of the war in Ukraine, they've now relocated to Poland. But they should really be commended, because they've taken a lot of their staff with them. They've rehoused them. They've built a new facility there for producing the kits. So they've kept the company going. And I know that the founder of the company, whose name escapes me at the moment, he certainly in the early part of the Russian invasion, he was quite key in supplying equipment to the Ukraine army. He was sort of going into other countries, and when I say equipment, I don't mean arms. I mean things like items they needed, like clothing and bedding, and he did supply drones for observation and things like that, and he was sort of buying them and then delivering them back into Ukraine. So he's got to be commended for that. And I suppose in some small way, buying their kits, even though they're produced in Poland at the moment, obviously somewhere on the line that money is benefiting people who probably would rather be back in Ukraine and sort of back, where they belong, really. So anyway, enough of the politics. I'll open this box up now. Obviously, this box, you can see that it's got fantastic artwork. All their artwork is very sort of evocative of the period that these vehicles were produced in. And what is interesting about them is the artist, they quite often incorporate weathering and I mean, this one's got sort of dents on the front of the bonnet there, and although that isn't in the kit, it gives you some sort of inspiration as that you could maybe do that to your own kit, certainly from the weathering point of view, and maybe even the damage. A lot of these were made out of very thin steel, and they would have got damaged, they would have got hammered in terms of the kind of life they had as a sort of workhorse. The other thing that they do supply is most of the kits come with accessories. Now, this being a milk delivery van, it comes with, well, it actually says here, contains a model of a 3-wheel truck, 4 milk cans, or what we call churns, 8 wooden boxes with milk bottles, that's what's on the roof, 6 decal options, and it just adds, this is not a toy, and it certainly isn't a toy. It's not for a beginner, but they're not impossible to build, and I quite enjoy building them, and I've been building quite a few over the past couple of years. The one thing I would like to see in the future, and obviously they've got their own pressures at the moment in terms of producing kits and things, is that they MiniArt started out, they used to produce a lot of vac form buildings, sort of ruins, World War II ruins and things like that, and although a lot of those are out of production at the moment because of the move to Poland, but I would like to see them maybe look at doing some shop facades, non-ruined ones, maybe like a cafe frontage, or a bar, or a grocer's, or delicatessen or something that you could decorate with a lot of the accessories that they have. And obviously these things are delivering to the shops. They also do figures of delivery guys and sort of women working on stalls and things like that, which adds to that appeal. So so a typical box is this nice artwork on the front, and typical sort of artwork on the end, but they also have normally an idea of the different schemes, and the markings are superb. You always get a really nice decal sheet, and they also include some photo etch in most of the kits as well. So opening this up, and I have had this open before, typically their kits come in just one plastic bag, with the transparencies and the decals in a separate bag, and you also get like this little cardboard envelope with the photo etch in. Now, I have had this open before, so I'll tip this out actually, because I'm planning on building this one fairly soon, just as a little diversion from the Corvette. So this is a little bit of a review, if you like, a sort of box, what's in the box, but also I'm going to show you some what they look like when they're built up. So there's a few loose parts in here, which are the bottles. So if I have a quick look at those first, let me just grab the instruction sheet, and I'll run through those in a moment. So so these parts here are your milk bottles in clear styrene, and although they do tend to have a very, very faint seam where the the two halves of the mold are gone together, it's almost invisible in reality, and once they're in the crate you don't really notice it anyway. The only thing you really have to do with these is paint the foil on the tops of the bottles. They're not a sort of British pattern, they're more of a European pattern milk bottle, but you get quite a lot of those. There's, what's that, 5 sprues there, and there's another 3 sprues there, so you get 8 sprues of the bottles. These are the crates. Now I've built one of their beer trucks, and these are very similar to the ones that come with it, although they are a different shape from the beer bottle ones. And again, you can see that I'll get that to focus. Don't know why this camera's not focusing lately. I need to investigate that, I think. You know, you get the ends of the crates, you get sides, and you get the base, which has got the dividers in for the bottles to sit in. So there's another 8 of those, so they're part of a sort of accessory set. And quite often with MiniArt kits, they reuse their molds everywhere, so that they're available separately as just a separate kit. This is the churns, the milk churns, and really nice detail, very fine handles and lids and things like that. There's 2 of those in the kit, and then you get to the parts for the van itself. Now, some of their sprues, they're very clever in terms of how they produce their kits. This particular sprue here, which is the one with, there's 2 patterns of wheels on it, and this comes in every one of these tempo kits, depending on the different variants, and it tells you which wheels to use. There's different baffles for the radiator. A lot of these are common, these tiny parts here, which again, we've gone out of focus again. Maybe if I try that behind it, let's see. Oh, there you go. Just needs a background. You can see the detail on these, and very, very fine. Look at the tread on those tires. And this is engine parts and various tiny parts. Now, the one criticism people have is their plastic, which some people find it can be, I've heard some people say it's soft, some people say it's brittle. I don't really have a problem with it. I think the secret is you need to cut these off with a sharp enough blade and leave enough of a nub on to clean it off afterwards, rather than, I think a lot of people nowadays use these sprue cutters, and they can be a bit aggressive when it comes to taking the parts off the sprue. So I find that you know, taking them off at a little bit further back and then trimming them with a blade is the better option. So that's a common sprue in all these kits. The other common sprue is this one, and this has the wheel, the brake discs. It's got the battery there, although the battery's under the front seat. So unless you're going to leave the seat up, maybe like a maintenance diorama or something, you'll never see the battery. There's a steering wheel, parts of the engine, there's doors, door linings, there's the seat. That's the front end of the cab. That's actually the engine side. That's the firewall for the engine, and then it's detailed on the back with a little instrument panel there. Some of them come with an instrument on the decal sheet, others they don't. You just have to sort of paint it in yourself. There's the wooden floor of the cab, and interestingly, the 2 ejector marks there, they're hidden under the seat. You never see those. So unless you're going to have the seat up, there's no need to remove the ejector marks. And most of their ejector marks are well hidden. I think virtually all of them in this kit are hidden away. So that's the main parts. Depending on which van you get, or which configuration of the rear you get, this comes with the flatbed for the inside of the sort of box van. There's the side without a door and mud guards and various other bits there, the rear doors. You also get a separate sprue with the other side of the van with the opening door. You can have the door open or closed. Loads and loads of options in these. Again, you look how clean that is inside. There's no ejector marks there, you know, so there's no real cleanup. These go together very, very easily. There's also more parts here. Now, some of these won't be used. They're for different options of different vans. So there may be a van that doesn't have a door in the side, so that, you know, you get two options for that. And you know, there is some ejector pin marks in these, but I think they're hidden by the interior stuff that goes in there. So again, you know, it's really well designed. This one is the hood, or rather the well, what I'd call the bonnet. I suppose it is the hood to anyone in the rest of the world. There are variations of this. I've got other kits with a slightly different shaped one, so it depends on the individual model that they're producing here that has a different front end. And then here's the roof. Now, interestingly, this one is designed to have the roof rack on, in which case it's got these ribs on the roof. And there's other kits that you get that doesn't have a roof rack, and it's a smooth roof. So they've produced different roofs for different marks. And then the final sprue there is this is another common sprue. This is part of the suspension for the three-wheeler part, you know, the rear suspension. And the detail on it is fantastic, really. You know, it's really, really well done. Very little to clean up apart from the, you know, the nibs off the sprue. And I find that you can kind of clean the whole of this kit up in maybe an evening's work, and then start gluing it together. And you can build it in sub-assemblies and then paint it, and then it goes together quite quickly. So you can turn one of these out in probably a week of evenings, really, depending on, you know, what kind of level of detail you go into. I won't take this out of the bag, but there's the transparencies there, very, very clear. Side windows, there's windscreen, and there's various lights and headlights and things. And then if I have to change my mind, I will take it out of the bag, because I'll be able to show you the decals. So let me just cut that off, or rather I'll leave the transparencies in the bag. And here's the decal sheet. Now, the quality of these is fantastic. I'm not actually sure who prints these. Is that readable there underneath that? Oh yeah, there you go, Cartograph. So they're made in Italy by Cartograph. So you don't really get any better than that. And obviously these large graphics go on the sides of the various vans, depending on, you know, what you're doing. These will be for the crates or the churns, and there's various number plates, and it's very, very comprehensive sets. These, you don't need to add anything to them really, and they look fantastic when they're on, and they're very easy to go on as well. They respond quite well to microsol and microset. There's a little set there. I don't know if that'll focus. Maybe if I do that. No, it's still not having it. Oh, there you go. So that's another graphic. Now, whether that was a additional one, or maybe it just wouldn't fit on the original sheet. They have been very good in the past, where there's been a slight mistake on one of the sheets, and they've given you an extra one to make up for the mistake. So It could be that because this is multicolored, there's more printing processes on this than there is on this. I don't really know how it works in terms of decal sheets. However, they are really well printed, as I said. So you can go back in the bag, and as I say, I'm thinking of building this one next, actually, because they're quite a quick build, and I'll just lose those out of the way. And a quick look at the, I left the photo etch till last, didn't I? So here's the photo etch, should be in there. There you go. So again, if I put it on this piece of styrene sheet, don't know if that's visible. Oh, it's upside down. There we go. So they give you a little sort of tempo logo, like a kind of badge, which I suppose you could add to the base. You get two variations of the front grille. One of them has the tempo badge on, the other one doesn't. And then there's various other bits, number plates, little brackets and things that go around the model, and they're really well produced. Some etch sheets are bigger than others. It just depends on the individual model that you're talking about, but that's all included in the kit. So looking at the instructions, they always have these lovely color plates of the different options. So that one's Westphalen, late 1930s, so just pre-war, I suppose. Austria, late 1930s, and then you go to the other end of the sheet and there's some more options. That's the one that's on the box top. That's early 1940s Berlin. Saarbrücken, 1950s. So as I say, they were still being used in the 50s. I should imagine, I've not really looked, but I should imagine there's people who still have these as sort of vintage vehicles in Austria and Germany and places like that. And there's two other options. There's the one with the separate decal there. That's in the Netherlands. So they were used in the Netherlands. That's in the early 60s. So they were still running in the 60s. And then this is West Germany, early 60s. So loads of different options. And what I've done is, with some of them, I've bought a couple of kits, because I want to make different variations of them, and they're beautiful kits when they're put together. So the real thing here is not to be frightened of them. As I say, a lot of people say, oh, they're really complicated, parts are tiny. I mean, I actually quite like tiny parts, but I don't think they're particularly hard to put together. They're very well engineered, and a lot of the instructions are the same throughout all the different models, and they just have different pictures for the the rear sections of the van and things like that. Very comprehensive engine. You look at that, and it's got the radiator and everything. And I may do one with the bonnet up. I mean, I've got some mechanic figures, so I might do one with the bonnet up with a guy working on the engine. There you go. There's the option for the two photo etch for the grill. They also give you options. For instance, there. Now, the last one I built, I didn't put these on because I was mounting it on the road, and I thought, well, it's not going to be seen anyway. But they give you measurements to add some wire. They don't supply the wire, but you could use sort of fuse wire or something, or maybe solder, and you can add the brake lines and accelerator cable and things like that. And they give you the measurements for those. There's the roof rack going together. The only thing you have to be really careful of is a lot of them have different options for mirrors and headlights and things like that. And each one, even within a kit, within the same kit, might have different different configurations. So it's just a case of, you know, checking through them. They always give you a color chart with all the various paints on. There's a, you know, a parts map at the front, and yeah, just fantastic kits. So that was the milk van. Now this is another one that I'm not going to sort of set this out of the box really, because I'll show you something else in a minute. But this is one that I really like. This is the delivery box van. This is like a refrigerated van, and again, if I just pull this out in terms of the instructions, if I can get them out of the box, there you go. The instructions for this, again, lots of options. You see, you've got a Nordland cigarette company, Stuttgart, 1940s, and then you look at the back, and there's a few colour pages in the back. There you go. That's a biscuit company in Hanover in the 1940s. That's the one on the box top, the margarine company, and there's a chocolate company in Berlin in the 1940s. So again, yeah, really nice nice kits. But you can see that this has got a completely different back end to the previous one, which was just like a kind of box van. This has got a separate cab, and then the cooler box on the back. Now the reason I'm showing you that is because if I switch to the other camera here, there we go, you can see there it is. I've already built one, and as I say, they're fantastic little kits. This I did this in gloss, and then what I do with these, because they're such a small scale, and because they're commercial vehicles and quite often they wouldn't be that glossy, I put the decals on and then I give them a coat of satin varnish, and it just adds to the look of them really. We'll bring that in a bit closer. You can see the detail on the wheels there. Let's see if I can get that to focus a little bit. So there you go. So you can see the hubcap. And again, I don't go for a bright chrome. I go for a sort of, you know, quite a bright silver, but it looks a bit more realistic. I've used weathering powders on the tyres and on the sides and on the mud guards. These were all painted separately, you know, so the blue was painted as a separate piece and then glued onto the white box. And bit of wear and tear on the front there with the, you know, where it's been driving through, sort of puddles and mud. You look underneath the van, you can see here where I haven't added those leads. I may still add them, to be honest, but I just didn't bother because it's going to be mounted on the road. You can see the underside of the floor, and it's got this, you know, black chassis here with these, I'm assuming there's some kind of torsion bars or something for the suspension. It does have a really nice interior, although I've done this one sealed up. The headlights there, painted them silver inside, stuck the lenses in with crystal clear. The mirror, you can barely see if I turn it around that way. I'm going to lift it up with that. You can just about see. I did silver the mirror, but you can't really see from that angle. Yeah, it's a really nice kit. I haven't over-weathered it. I've just put a bit of grime on it, you know, as if it's road grime, and it's maybe a relatively new vehicle, so it's not rusting away or anything. And the only sort of rusty part on it really is you can just about see it there. This is the silencer. Go a bit clearer. There you go. The silencer on the exhaust. And this has got the full engine in, because you have to build the engine to attach the wheel to, although you can't see it because it's all sealed up. However, although the hinges don't work, it does have a little tiny photo etched hook on the bonnet, which locates in a ring on the very top of the cab there. So you can perch that up. You could leave that loose and have it sort of showing off the engine if you wanted to. But like everything that I do, I build everything, I paint everything, but then quite often you don't see half of it when it's put together. But that's the little margarine van. I've also got this one. Now they do a range of Mercedes cars. These started out as staff cars, like sort of 135th staff cars, and this is now they've released it as a pickup, and this is a cheese delivery truck. And the cheeses, I don't know why this isn't refusing to let me just see if I can adjust the focus on this, get it to snap in. There we go. You can see all the cheese in the back in the little crates. The decals on this are absolutely fantastic. You can see there's one there with a St. Bernard dog on it. There's one with a snowman on. There's some look like Dairy Lee triangles, and you can see if I turn it just slightly there, so you can see into that crate. I've detailed the, I mean, they're as they come. I haven't done anything to those other than painted them. That's sort of Edam with the holes in it there. It's probably more like a kind of Emmental or something. And these cheese wheels, these big cheese wheels, they'd have a rind on the top of them, so that's slightly darker than the actual face of the cheese. And this is how they were sold back in the day. They were just a big hunk of cheese. They didn't really worry too much about the hygiene of it, because they generally have a rind on that you cut off. There's a little badge on the side there for the Christian Muller. And you see the underside of this. There's an engine in there, painted the engine green. Little bit of a rusty exhaust. There's some weathering on the bottom there, which is the floor pan. And this is the same floor pan that you get for the the saloon car, and they do a van and various other bits and pieces. They've just released another one of these pickups, same pickup, but this time it's an oil delivery van. It's got sort of cans of oil in the back. And then if I'm careful, I left this piece loose. I left the bonnet loose to lift off. And you can actually see in there, and there's the full engine. Get it to focus again. There you go. And the only thing I didn't really add, because I wasn't planning on leaving the bonnet off originally, was I didn't put ignition leads in there. But you could easily put some thin fuse wire in just for ignition leads. You even get the tools on the, there's no straps holding them on, but there's like a little hammer there, and there's some kind of jack or something there. And they are amazing, really. It probably won't pick it up, but there is in fact on the front end, there's a teeny tiny, I can get it to snap in. No, it's not going to do it. Oh, there you go. Little tiny photo etched Mercedes badge on the front. This actual grille on the front is photo etched as well. But I've sort of painted it to look a bit weathered and battered. And what I'll do, I'm planning on doing a bit of a tutorial on how I weather these, because I've got a technique that I use that I've not seen it that often, and maybe some people might find my technique easier than other people's. So I'm gonna do a little bit of a tutorial on that. But again, these can be painted separately, and then everything attached. So I didn't have to mask off the fenders. They're attached to the chassis. They were painted red, and then the sides went on the blue sides. So that's your cheese van. So you can see that they're sort of same scale, 1/35. There's been people saying, well, why don't they do them in 1/24? Well, I actually quite like them at this size. They are doing some 1/24 now. They've started releasing some of their tractor models in 1/24. But you know, that's for the future. I suppose with the situation is at the moment that they're in, anything they can do is a bonus for them, really. One other thing that is interesting here, talking about the cheese van, is just go back to there. This is a more recent release. They do a series of these market stalls, and there's loads and loads of kits you can buy. You can just buy things with the trolley in. You can get this trolley, and then they've released them with different sort of content. And this is essentially all the cheese that you get in the back of that van, released as a separate kit, with obviously a customer and the vendor. And if I pull this out of here, typically they're you know, they have sort of detail on the back. It's essentially just the illustration off the front, but it's got some indications of where the decals go, and there's a painting guide here with different colors on. However, again, the parts are all contained in a plastic bag. The figure sculpts are really good. I do like their figures. They've got a bit of character to them. There's the decals, and interestingly, this isn't exactly the same sheet that came with the pickup. So I've got a feeling that there's maybe a couple not included in this that's in the van. I don't know. And obviously you get like a little instruction sheet there of how to put the cart together. And they do a butcher's cart and I think there's a Calvados cellars and various other market stores. So you could actually just put a whole market together, really. And the figures that they're bringing out now, you know, there's butchers, there's bakers, there's guys delivering barrels of beer. There's all kinds of stuff. And yeah, looking at that, you see there's the cartograph badge. So they are all cartograph decals, and they're just superb kits. They're not massively expensive. For some reason, these haven't taken off as well as the military stuff. And most of the reviews of the military stuff I've seen, people are saying, well, they're too complicated. I'd rather build a Dragon kit or a you know, a Tamiya kit or whatever. But because most of their tanks come with complete interiors as well, which is fantastic. So it's just a shame, really, that these aren't as popular. But I think they are picking up in popularity. And there's a few groups I follow on Facebook that have fantastic, you know, dioramas and things that people have done. To give you an indication of my sort of collection here, I'll switch to the other camera, and I'm just going to lift it up over my head and just point it in that direction at the back of some of my stash there, and you can see it's a bit shaky, but you can see some buildings on the right there. That Middle East diorama there, that's fetching stupid money at the moment. I don't know whether they'll ever re-release it. And then there's various other vans, and there's a US bulldozer. You can see quite a few of those Tempo refrigerated vans. I've got figures, you know, so that gives you an indication of how much you're into these kits. If you're interested, by the way, those brown boxes on the very top there, it's a 1/35 scale Dora railgun, which isn't going to be built anytime soon. But you know, there's nothing particularly rare there apart from maybe the buildings, because the buildings have all gone out of production. But no doubt at some point they may reintroduce those. So it'd be interesting to see if they come back in. So yeah, so I just thought I'd do that as a little sort of appreciation of MiniArt's kits, the non-military side. I know they've just released a P47 Thunderbolt series, and that's getting rave reviews for the detail on it and the stressed skin, sort of surface detail to the you know the wings and the fuselage and that. So they are really worth having a go at. As I say, they're not for beginners, but everybody likes a challenge, and potentially, you know, if you just wanted to build them as the basic vehicle, you could leave the engine out of them. You don't have to put the engine in. But it is handy, the fact that you can leave all the doors open, and you know, they do some passengers and things, you know, people climbing in and out of the cars and things. They do luggage, you know, you name it, they've got something that'll dress that car up. They're doing sort of like petrol stations now, although you don't get the background, although they would be very easy to scratch build, just a basic facade. But you do get the petrol pumps, and I think they do about 4 variations of that. I think I've got 2 of them. I've got an Italian one and a German one. I think there's a French one. Again, well worth investigating. So I think the next time I build one of these, I might do a sort of staged build, just showing how easy they are to put together, and maybe a painting guide, and as I said, the weather inside of it. I mean, I use this technique, which I'm very pleased with with the results from it, and it doesn't take an awful lot of effort to get it looking like a kind of lightly worn vehicle. You know, it's not a tank, so it's not going to be battered and sort of scratched up. But equally, you don't want something that looks like it's just come out of the showroom. So I'll link to that when I do another video. I'm still pressing on with the Corvette, if anyone's following that, and various other things. But I will, as I said in another video, I'm going to drop in the odd video of just showing off kits and things I've got and things people might be interested in. And you know, if you are interested, then you know, hit the subscribe button, and you know, like the videos. And basically, I'm not looking to sort of really monetize this site, but I'm looking to basically you know, get some videos and techniques out there that you don't see an awful lot of, or variations on that, really. So we'll see how it goes. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.